skate videos as well. They're a big part of it. Every other person that sees this photo is going to have a different perspective on this person. Creating work, creating prints and books and that sort of stuff. That's timeless. Like, it's going to last forever.
Oscar from Hazy Magazine. Today we're back in Bury St Edmunds and we're here with Fin Newman. Fin, thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate it. So Fin, firstly, could you tell the Hazy Magazine audience a little bit about yourself and how you got into photography?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Fin. I'm a photographer, visual artist. I do a bit of videography as well. I'm 17 years old and I'm currently studying photography at West Suffolk College, which is the best place to study photography.
For sure, yeah.
I've really been into like art my whole life, which is through my family really. They definitely influenced me. My mum was a fashion designer, my granddad was a photographer,
Sick.
So it kind of like, I had to do something.
Yeah, it's all creative, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That's sick.
But yeah, through a young age, my mum got me into printmaking, all of that sort of visual art. And then I just really got into photography through videography. So I started off doing video, and then I was like, I need to find a different way of like exploring my ideas. Like I found I was taking my videos and getting still images from it, so might as well like get into photography as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool to like hear that you kind of like started off maybe like with other influences and then you like build out into photography.
And they definitely still, you can still see that in my work, that I'm not just like focusing primarily on photography. It's more like I'm still taking those influences from an early age and putting them into my work nowadays.
Yeah,
it's definitely definitely still influences my work. And yeah, you can still see it come through. Yeah,
for sure. That's always sick though, to see like other influences come through your work. It's always really interesting. I think talking about one of your influences in the interview with Hazy Magazine, you talked quite a lot about the skateboarding community, and that was like a big inspiration for your work when you started. So does this still reflect in your work today, and if so, how?
I think the whole reason why I wanted to document the whole like skateboarding scene, it started off with the videos. I was obviously, if you're into skateboarding, you're into the skate videos as well. They're a big part of it. And I was primarily focused on skate videos, which showed a lot of like documentary within it. And I found them the most interesting than just like your regular skate videos with just your tricks. But yeah, I just found myself like watching these videos and I was like, I want to do this as well. Like I'm skating every day of my life pretty much during that summer, so why, like I need someone needs to document this, otherwise we're all just going to forget it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I just bought a camera, spent a load of money on a camcorder, and I was just filming every day. Stopped skating myself, I was just filming completely. That definitely started off the whole like documentary, like documenting life going on around me. It sort of then went into me taking photos as well, documenting through that sort of source. And then I started at West Suffolk, which really like boosted my sort of experimentation of like what photography can be. And yeah, it just went from there. Like I was then going out in the streets, then going out to gigs, events, and documenting that sort of stuff as well. And I still think it definitely is still influencing my work through the skating, because at the end of the day I started that from just wanting to capture like people and the whole culture, and it just sort of led on to capturing different sort of cultures and different sort of like life around me. So it's definitely still like comes through in my work, but just in a different sense.
Yeah, for sure. But like I think it's always really interesting to hear people's inspirations that like aren't to do necessarily with the medium of photography, but yet they're still influenced by it, and it shows how these like cultures intertwine a lot. I think.
I definitely think that like if you're just being influenced by photography or different photographers, then you're not really opening yourself to other things, and you've got to be influenced by music, you've got to be influenced by so many different things to really like create to your full potential, really.
No, for sure, mate, definitely. And how do you aim to represent these subcultures such as like skateboarding or live music in your work and the kind of community feels that they have as well? How does that translate into the photos you take?
Well, I definitely think like people should look at the photos and like sort of get a sort of like vibe of what like these sort of communities are like, even if they've nothing to do with them. Like, for example, I've shot like loads of hardcore bands, and even though I'm not part of the scene myself, I can still look at it like damn, this is like a sick like sort of community. Everyone's so like tight knit, and like it's just like so awesome to capture, because I don't think there's any other sort of community like it. And that's why I just keep going out to these events, and like even though like I'm making no money off of it, I don't care, because it's just like really cool to.
It's about immersing yourself in it, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, 100%, yeah, definitely.
It's yeah, because like there's no better feeling than going to like a gig or like even a skateboarding event and like like seeing how this one, whether it's creative like music or more of like a culture like skateboarding is also creative in a lot of ways, like how it really like brings people together and how it like shapes identities and communities, and like how it all intertwines into other creative scenes. It's really sick to see, and I really see that in your work as well, and kind of like the energy in a lot of your photos, and especially like the gig photos where it looks like the camera's like moved to like the energy of the music almost.
That's what I tried to capture, like the overall energy of the night. Is like if no one captures that, then no one outside is going to be able to see that. So it's important for these photos to actually, because in a video you can't really like, you can, but you can't really like fully capture, but in these photos it's harder to capture, but at the end of the day, if you get it right, then it shows a lot more than just any other regular video.
No, for sure. It's really important, I think. Obviously, a lot of your photography, particularly at the gigs, is shot in black and white.
Yeah.
So how is black and white different than colour in capturing these moments? And can it also be like challenging in some ways because you're not able to capture these particular colours, or do you enjoy it a bit more?
Yeah, I think like I honestly like I don't really think I have like a full reason why I prefer black and white more than colour. I've just always enjoyed shooting black and white ever since I started really like shooting film. I started black and white film, and I just think like it's a lot harder to fully like show what you're trying to capture, but in a way I like how it's more challenging, and you can sort of capture emotion a lot more, and you can capture like, I feel like I see colour as like they sort of just blend into each other, whilst with black and white you can sort of get the contrast between the two, and it just like, especially within gig photography, you sort of captures the emotion and the energy a lot more. And I think that's just personally like my opinion on it. Like I there's definitely people that would disagree, but for some reason black and white, just visually I just much prefer it.
Yeah,
colour, definitely.
It's like it brings that feeling of like intimacy, I think, and like just the kind of like the shadows and the tones you get from black and white you can't recreate in colour. And like even if you were to edit colour images into black and white, sometimes it's maybe not the same as shooting on black and white film.
They do definitely like blend into each other a lot more than like a solid black and white.
We'll cut that bit out. But yeah, man, for sure. I think like I sometimes prefer shooting on black and white. It depends a lot on like my mood and the season as well. I think like when it's winter, I kind of stick to black and white, and then colour comes more in the summer.
100%, yeah. Because like I feel like if you're shooting colour during the winter, especially here in the UK, like you're not going to get these bright colours that you do in other countries, and you can't really show as much sort of. I guess colour gives off more like a happy vibe and sort of a happy look to it, but black and white during the winter, especially in the UK, just really shows off like how the UK really is in the winter. I think it definitely is a lot more effective.
Definitely, mate. No, that's really interesting to hear, and like that's a big part of the creative process behind the work, I guess. Like, you know, using this black and white to create these effects, and no, it's really interesting to hear, man. Also in the interview you mentioned how like you're really drawn to shooting people, because of the kind of like the stories and the personality that can be portrayed through the images that you photograph. So how would you represent this connection visually, and how would you portray, say, like an individual's identity, story, or their personality in a photograph without adding words to it? How do you just portray all of this visually? It's a big question, I know, but there's a lot that goes into it, obviously.
Yeah.
But how do you convey that in your work?
I think just the overall, like, I think I get quite like lucky with it. A lot of my photography is like heat of the moment, like with like street photography. It's quite like I'm going up to this person that I've seen for the last 2 seconds and just capturing them in the moment. That in itself tells like a story about them, because I don't know anything about them, but it's just what's in that image is all you can get from their actual personality. And I think that's really important. I personally myself don't take many like sort of portraits that are sort of I've talked to this person.
Yeah.
It is something that I would like want to do a lot more, but it's just like I like the fact that I don't know anything about them, and every other person that sees this photo is going to have a different perspective on this person. Yeah, and I do like that a lot.
For sure, it's kind of also like presenting people just as they are, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't need to like. It's interesting to find out a backstory, but like with my photography as well, I'm really interested in just capturing the everyday and presenting people as they are, and not always creating this kind of like narrative for it. And I think that's sort of what you're saying as well. It's the same sort of thing.
Yeah, I almost think like once you sort of control what they are doing and control their life, then the image kind of sort of just stops being what I want it to be. If I like tell someone where to stand or tell someone what to do, then it just definitely becomes not as like effective as what I would want it to be.
For sure, yeah. I think it's sometimes good to just like leave the image how it is. And there's a lot of interesting narratives you can make up yourself, but sometimes you should just see it for what it is, and it can portray like a person's identity visually, like through their clothing or like their tattoos or
where
makeup
they
or
are
whatever.
in that moment is just so important as well.
For sure, yeah. No, it's nice to have that connection as well with people when you're like photographing. Like, do you find there's quite an intimate connection between you and the subjects, like through the medium of photography and you being there?
Yeah, like I can look back at images I've taken, and I know I've never spoken one word to this person, but I can just like sort of like visualize what their life is like in each person, which I think is just so important. Like actually capturing people's lives, but without knowing anything about them, it's just like it's just so beautiful. Yeah,
and you remember those people like through the photos forever. Really, it's because you wouldn't look twice at them again, like if they were just a stranger on the street that you pass by. Yeah. But when you've got that moment captured forever, it's something really special, I think. So I ask this question to everybody that I interview, and it goes with the motto of connect to the physical we have for Hazy Magazine. So how is physical media important for you in this day and age within your creative practice, but also just in general?
I think it's just like it's important in any sort of perspective of life, is because with sort of social media taking over, like myself, I like to kind of distance myself from social media in a way, because although it is so important, and although like it's difficult in this day and age to not use it and to not like make it effective for yourself, I sort of like to sort of post these images but not care about anything like any algorithms or any of that. Like it is important, and it will be like the factor of like making it or not, but I just think like I'm creating these images for myself, I'm creating this work for myself, although people's opinions on it are so great and so like useful. Like at the end of the day, this work is for me, and this work is created by myself. The actual physical factor of like creating work, creating prints and books and that sort of stuff, that's timeless. Like it's gonna last forever.
100%.
People will look through these and find these in the future, and especially with documentary photography, people will look at this and be like, this is what was happening during my lifetime, and that's ideally what I want to capture, is my life and just overall like the life I've lived, and having that in a book for other people to see, like especially like my future generation. Like it's just so much more important than getting it through on a social media page. Because at the end of the day, that could shut down any day.
Exactly.
No one's going to ever see your work. So
exactly.
I think the actual physical factor is just so much more important. And yeah, especially just to sort of prove what you've done and prove what you've captured and where you've been is so much important than a social media page.
For sure, yeah, that's exactly the way I think about it as well, like having these timeless like mediums like photo books or prints or whatever, because like at the end of the day, and with social media unfortunately it is so saturated nowadays, and at the end of the day, if algorithms aren't pushing it, it's about kind of like pushing back against those algorithms in a way, and like creating these physical pieces which people connect to a lot more. And I think I always say to people, like, I think humans are naturally more inclined to physical media because we've seen it with like vinyl and with books, things like that coming back. And like, yeah, it's you nailed it there saying like about it being timeless, because at the end of the day, you know, physical things are the sort of things that like do stand the test of time. Like you see it in galleries when you've got these paintings from like the 1800s or whatever, and they've gone forever through time.
They're still here, whilst if that was up on a social media page, people would have forgotten about it.
Yeah, exactly, because it like, as well with people's memory, when they're scrolling through, they hardly remember like, you know, however many minutes they spend scrolling through social media every day, and they don't take the time to pay attention. But with a physical thing, like it's yours, and you can like really look at it and engage with it in your own time, can't you?
I think definitely within photo books as well. Like I've started collecting like photo books from like my favourite photographers and artists, but I think it's just the overall, like, you can look at their Instagram page and it's like it's layouts and this, but like actually having the book that they've planned and created, they've laid it all out how they want it, that itself is like art in itself. Like that itself is like an art piece. That having that book, it's just so much more important.
The process that's gone to making it as well, like the personal process and the creative process. Yeah, it's the whole DIY element of it, I guess. Yeah, that's sick to hear. No, it's really important, I think, to push these physical forms of media in this day and age. You know, you got to connect to the physical. 100%.
That's what I think. What you're doing is really important. Like actually having like creative people come together in a community, which is like so difficult to happen nowadays.
For sure.
I think artists are sort of keeping to themselves too much and not being part of a community.
Definitely.
Which, like, you can thrive in. It's just so important.
And having these conversations is where it starts, really. I think like connecting with people like yourself and like doing these collaborative projects, it's a really important way of like making these bonds and ensuring that the creative community lasts throughout the kind of like the lull of maybe like this kind of negative impact of social media that it's having on creativity. It's important to do things like this and to make those connections, for sure. Fin, thanks for coming on today. I really appreciate it. So where can they find you on social media? Do you have a website or just Instagram?
So I've got a website. My main use of social media is Instagram, which is F1 Newman. My website's in the bio. I've got a YouTube, which, to be honest, I don't post on anymore. That's where you find the skate videos and all of that. But yeah, Instagram, YouTube, website, that's pretty much it.
Make sure you check out his work on his social media and his website. Until the next time. Thank you for watching this episode of the Hazy Magazine Issue 4 Sit Down. The link to all the Hazy Magazine Issue 4 can be found in the description. The link to the artist's social media handles can be found in the description as well. Like and subscribe to keep updated with the latest of the Hazy Magazine YouTube channel. See you next time.